The city of Varnus was alive with colors and noise, a place where hundreds of alien species lived and worked together. Yet not all of them were treated the same. Among the crowd walked a small alien woman named Lyra, no taller than a human child. Her skin shimmered faintly silver under the neon lights, and her deep blue eyes glowed softly whenever she focused. Most people barely noticed her, and those who did often laughed. Every day she carried heavy crates at the transport station, working quietly, never complaining, even when others mocked her. "Look at her, so tiny. The wind might blow her away," one tall alien joked. "Maybe she's a lost child," another added with a cruel grin. Lyra heard them all, but she never replied. She just kept working, her small hands gripping the cold metal crates tightly, her heart calm but tired. That morning, something was different. A new human worker had arrived, Ryan Carter, a bus driver from Earth. He had just transferred to the Varnus Central Transport Hub. Ryan was tall, strong, and carried himself with quiet confidence. He smiled at people even when they ignored him. As he walked toward his assigned bus, he noticed the small alien woman struggling with a cargo container near the loading bay. The container was bigger than her entire body, and the metal lock holding it shut looked rusted and jammed. Ryan watched her for a moment. Everyone around her just walked past, pretending not to see. Some even whispered jokes. He frowned and walked closer. "Hey, you okay there? Need a hand?" he asked kindly. Lyra didn't look up right away. Her soft voice came out steady but cold. "No help needed. I can do it myself." Ryan hesitated. He didn't want to embarrass her, so he stepped back. But then as he watched, she placed both hands on the thick metal bar. Her small fingers tightened. The air seemed to hum for a second. And then crack! The heavy lock bent in her hands like it was made of clay. Ryan's eyes widened in shock. The surrounding workers stopped what they were doing. The sound echoed through the bay. Lyra didn't even flinch. She twisted the metal again and it broke clean off. The container door flew open with a loud clang. For a moment, no one spoke. The laughter, the noise, the chatter, and all gone. Everyone stared at her in silence. The little alien woman, who everyone mocked for being weak, had just crushed solid steel with her bare hands. Lyra dusted off her palms and stood quietly. Her glowing blue eyes met Ryan's for a second. There was no pride in her face, no anger, just calm strength. Then she turned and began unloading the cargo as if nothing had happened. Ryan couldn't move. His mind raced. How can someone that small be that strong? He thought. When the crowd slowly returned to their work, Ryan walked closer again. "That was impressive," he said softly. Lyra glanced at him briefly. "Strength doesn't always need size," she said, her tone calm, almost wise. Then she lifted another crate effortlessly and walked away. Ryan stood there watching her small figure disappear behind the loading gates. He felt something stir inside him. Curiosity, respect, and a strange feeling he couldn't name. He knew there was more to her story. Later that day, while Ryan drove his bus through the busy streets of Varney, he couldn't stop thinking about her. The city lights flashed across his windshield, and her glowing blue eyes appeared again in his mind. Who was she really? Why was she working here, treated like nothing, when she clearly had power beyond anything he'd seen? He promised himself one thing: he would find out. Because deep down, Ryan knew this was no ordinary alien woman. She carried a secret, one that might change everything he thought he knew about strength, pride, and what it meant to be truly powerful. And he had just become the first person to see her for who she really was. The next morning, Ryan arrived at the transport hub earlier than usual. The air smelled of engine oil and metallic dust, and workers shouted over the noise of hover buses warming up for the day. Yet his eyes kept scanning the loading bay, searching for one person, Lyra, the small alien woman who had bent steel like paper. When he finally saw her, she was already working, carrying boxes twice her size. She moved fast and quiet, avoiding everyone's eyes. Most workers still whispered when she passed. Some laughed behind her back, pretending to be brave now that they thought she couldn't hear. But Ryan noticed the way their laughter faded when she turned around. No one dared to meet her gaze. He walked over to her again, this time holding 2 cups of steaming drink from the station's machine. "Peace offering," he said with a small grin, offering 1 cup. Lyra blinked, her blue eyes glowing faintly under the dim light. "Humans drink that?" she asked, curious. "Yeah, Ryan said, taking a sip. Strong, bitter, keeps us alive before sunrise. She tilted her head, sniffed the cup, and took a small sip. For a moment her face softened. It's warm, she whispered. Ryan smiled. So what's your story, Lyra? You bend metal for fun or just on special occasions? Lyra didn't smile back. I don't like attention, she said simply. That's a shame, Ryan replied, leaning on a crate. Because after yesterday everyone's talking about you. Lyra looked away, her shoulders tightening. They always talk, she said quietly, but they never understand. Ryan watched her for a while, trying to read the sadness behind her calm face. Then maybe you should let someone understand, he said gently. She stopped working and turned to him. Humans always want to know everything, she said. But knowing can be dangerous. Before Ryan could reply, a sharp whistle cut through the noise. Supervisor Cran, a tall, horned alien, marched toward them. You! He barked, pointing at Lyra. Stop wasting time. You were assigned to the rear bay. Now, Ryan frowned. She's not wasting time. Stay out of this, human, Cran growled, eyes narrowing. We don't need your pity for weaklings, Lyra said nothing. She just placed the cup down gently and walked toward the rear bay. Ryan watched her go, anger burning inside him. Weakling? The same woman who bent steel? He clenched his fists, wanting to shout, but he knew it would only make things worse for her. Later that day, when Ryan parked his bus for the evening, he saw movement near the scrapyard behind the station. Sparks flashed in the darkness. Curious, he went closer. There she was, Lyra, working alone under the dim light of a broken lamp. She had dismantled a damaged hover engine and was repairing it piece by piece. Her small hands moved quickly, skillfully. Each touch sent a faint blue glow through the wires. Lyra, Ryan called softly. She turned, surprised. You shouldn't be here, she said, brushing dust off her arms. I could say the same to you, Ryan replied. What are you doing? Fixing what others throw away, she said. It's quieter here. Ryan stepped closer, watching her connect 2 damaged circuits. The dead engine hummed faintly. That's amazing, he said. You're an engineer? She hesitated, then nodded slightly. Once, she said. Before they took everything. Ryan frowned. Who took everything? She looked at the stars above the metal roof, her expression distant. My clan, my world. They said I was too small to lead, too weak to fight. But strength isn't in size. The engine flickered to life with a sharp whine. Blue light filled the dark scrapyard. Lyra stepped back, her face lit by the glow. It's in what you choose to carry, she said softly. Ryan felt a strange admiration rise in his chest. Then they were fools to let you go, he said. Lyra looked at him, her blue eyes reflecting the flickering light. Maybe, she said, but some lessons need distance to be learned. A sudden explosion echoed from the far side of the yard. Both turned. A cargo drone had crashed into a nearby power box and live sparks shot across the ground. Workers screamed as fire spread along the cables. Without thinking, Lyra ran forward. Ryan shouted, Wait! It's not safe. But she didn't stop. Her small body blurred with speed. She grabbed a fallen power line, and to Ryan's shock, her skin began to glow brighter. Absorbing the energy instead of being burned, the fire faded instantly, the cables dimmed and silence fell. When the smoke cleared, Lyra stood there unharmed, holding the cooled wire in her hand. Everyone stared from a distance. Ryan walked toward her slowly, his voice full of awe. Lyra, what are you? She looked down at her glowing hands, then at him. Something even my own kind forgot, she whispered. And in that moment, Ryan knew. This was no ordinary worker, no simple alien woman. She was something far greater, and her hidden strength was only beginning to reveal itself. The next morning, the story of the tiny alien who stopped a fire with her bare hands spread through the transport hub like wildfire. Workers whispered behind crates, security officers replayed footage on hollow screens, and even supervisors walked faster when she passed. But Lyra acted like nothing happened. She worked in silence, her face calm, her movements steady as if yesterday's event was only a dream. Ryan, however, couldn't stop thinking about it. The image of her glowing hands absorbing the power surge was burned into his mind. No human or alien he knew could do that. She wasn't just strong, she was something else entirely. During his next route, his bus was filled with noise, passengers chatting, droids beeping. But Ryan's thoughts were far away. What kind of power was that? He wondered. And why does she hide it? When he returned to the depot at night, he saw her again, alone, sitting near a broken shuttle. The night air was cool and the neon lights reflected off her silver skin. For the first time, she looked tired, like she carried something far heavier than any crate. Ryan approached quietly. "You shouldn't sit out here alone," he said. Lyra didn't look up. "You shouldn't worry about things you don't understand," she replied softly. Ryan sat beside her anyway. "Maybe I don't understand, but I want to," he said. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she finally turned her head slightly. "You humans," she said, her voice distant. "Always curious. Always brave. That's why they fear you," Ryan frowned. "Who fears us?" Lyra's blue eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "The ones who rule the core worlds. The ones who once ruled me." He leaned forward. "You mean your own kind?" She nodded slowly. "My people are called the Thalren. We are known for strength, for size, for war. I was born small. The elders said it was a flaw. They said a small body cannot carry the Thalren power, so they cast me out." Ryan's heart ached as he listened. "That's not right. You're stronger than any of them." Lyra shook her head. "Power means nothing without belonging," she said. "I wanted to prove them wrong, but every world I visited saw only my size, my weakness. Until," her voice softened, "until you didn't." Ryan didn't know what to say. He felt something shift inside him, a quiet respect turning into something deeper. Before he could reply, the ground beneath them trembled. Sirens wailed across the station. Lyra jumped to her feet, eyes glowing brighter. "What's happening?" Ryan shouted. "Attack," she said quickly. "Pirates." Explosions shook the sky. A fleet of raider ships descended, firing plasma rounds at the docking bay. Workers screamed and ran for cover. Ryan grabbed Lyra's arm. "We need to get to safety!" But she didn't move. Her eyes were fixed on the sky, her breathing steady. "No," she said firmly. "They're after something. Or someone." A large shadow dropped from one of the ships, a massive raider mech, its metal feet crushing the ground. Soldiers in dark armor surrounded it. Their leader, a scarred alien with glowing red armor, shouted through a translator, "Bring us the Thalren exile." Ryan froze. "They're talking about you," he whispered. Lyra's expression turned calm, almost cold. "I know," she said. Before Ryan could stop her, she stepped out from behind the shuttle and into the open. The raider soldiers turned their weapons toward her. "There she is," the leader roared. Ryan shouted, "Lyra, don't!" But she ignored him. Her silver skin shimmered as faint light flowed beneath it like fire under glass. One raider fired his blaster. The bolt struck her shoulder, but instead of burning her, it vanished into her skin, absorbed completely. Then, with a wave of her hand, she sent the energy back. The blast exploded across the ground, throwing the raider into the air. The others opened fire. Streams of light flew toward her, but Lyra's body glowed brighter, absorbing every hit. She raised both hands, and a shockwave burst outward, knocking the entire squad off their feet. Ryan stared in disbelief. "You're absorbing energy?" he shouted. Lyra turned slightly, her glowing eyes locking with his. "It's what they feared most," she said. "A small one who could control the Thalren core." The raider leader charged forward with his energy blade, but Lyra caught it with her bare hand. The blade flickered, then died as she drained its power. With a quiet, almost sorrowful look, she whispered, "You should have stayed away." Then she pushed him back with a single strike that sent him flying across the yard. Silence followed. The air smelled of ozone and smoke. The workers slowly peeked from their hiding spots, their eyes wide. Lyra stood tall, glowing softly under the broken lights. For the first time, she looked powerful. Not small, not weak, but unstoppable. Ryan stepped forward carefully. "Lyra, you saved everyone." She looked at him, her glow fading. "No," she said quietly. "I just delayed them." "Delayed them?" he asked. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "They'll come again. And next time, they won't stop until I'm gone." And as the sirens echoed in the distance, Ryan realized something. This wasn't just a fight between a woman and her past. It was the beginning of something far bigger. Something that could decide the fate of more than just one world. The station was still smoking when the sun of Varnis rose. Workers moved carefully through the wreckage, repairing broken ships and shattered windows. Everyone whispered about the short alien woman who had stopped the raiders alone, but no one dared to speak to her. They all looked at her now with both fear and awe. Lyra, however, didn't feel like a hero. She sat alone on a supply crate, her silver hands trembling slightly. The energy she had absorbed the night before still pulsed inside her veins, faint and painful. She looked at her reflection in a cracked window. Her eyes were still glowing faintly blue. "They'll come back," she whispered to herself. "They always do." Ryan found her there a little later, holding a repair kit and a cup of warm drink. "You didn't come to the dorms," he said softly. "Figured you'd be here." Lyra didn't look up. "You shouldn't stay near me," she said. "It's dangerous." "Dangerous?" Ryan smiled faintly. "After what I saw you do last night, I'd say you're the safest person here." Her eyes met his briefly. There was no smile on her face, just sadness. "You don't understand. They won't stop. The raiders are not just pirates. They are Thalran hunters. They hunt my kind, exiles, experiments, failures." Ryan frowned. "Why? You said your people cast you out." "They did," Lyra said, her voice calm but heavy. "But I carry something they want." "The core." "The core?" Lyra nodded. "It's the energy inside me. A living source born from the Thalran war experiments. It makes me absorb energy instead of being harmed by it. They thought only large warriors could hold such power. When I survived the test, they panicked. A small one was never meant to live through it. They feared me, so they exiled me. But the hunters," she paused, her voice shaking slightly, "they were sent to erase all traces of the project. And that means me." Ryan listened quietly. Every word hit him deeper. "So that's why they attacked," he said slowly. "They're here to take you back." Lyra nodded again. "And they'll destroy anything in their path." A sharp alarm suddenly echoed through the station. Ryan and Lyra looked up. On the distant horizon, several dark shapes appeared in the sky, sleek raider ships with crimson markings. The hunters had returned. Panic spread through the station instantly. Workers shouted and ran for cover. Military drones launched from the rooftops, but the enemy ships fired first, blasting holes through the defense line. Ryan grabbed Lyra's arm. "We have to get you out of here." She hesitated, looking at the chaos. "No, I can't run again. Lyra," he shouted. "They'll kill everyone just to find you." Her glowing eyes turned toward him. "Then I have to stop them before that happens." Before he could reply, she sprinted toward the main dock. Ryan cursed under his breath and ran after her. The raider ships landed with a thunderous crash, metal doors sliding open. Dozens of armored hunters poured out, their weapons humming with plasma light. The leader, the same scarred alien she had defeated before, stepped forward. His armor was cracked but repaired, his eyes burning with fury. "Thalran exile," he shouted. "Surrender the core." Lyra stood alone in the middle of the dock, surrounded by smoke and fire. "You still don't understand," she said calmly. "You cannot take what was never yours." The hunters opened fire. Beams of blue energy streaked across the air, hitting her one after another. Her body absorbed each one, the glow around her growing brighter and brighter until the air began to vibrate with power. Ryan ducked behind a damaged bus, shielding his eyes. "Lyra," he yelled. "You'll overload." But she didn't stop. Her voice echoed through the dock, calm and full of strange peace. "No, I'll become what I was meant to be." The energy exploded outward, forming a radiant dome around her. The hunters stumbled backward, their armor cracking from the shock wave. One by one, their weapons melted in their hands. The leader roared and charged, but she raised her arm and sent a focused blast of light straight into his chest. He flew backward, crashing into his ship, which erupted in flames. When the light finally faded, the dock was silent. The raiders were gone, some fled, others lay unconscious. The ground smoked, but the station still stood. Ryan slowly walked forward. Lyra stood in the center of the devastation, her body trembling, her glow dimming. She looked at him, her voice weak. "I can't keep doing this," she said. "Every time I use the core, it takes more from me." Ryan stepped closer, steadying her before she could fall. "Then you won't do it alone," he said firmly. "We'll find a way to stop them together." She looked up at him, uncertain. "You'd risk your life for me?" Ryan smiled faintly. "You saved mine more than once. Guess it's my turn." For the first time since he met her, Lyra's lips curved into the smallest smile. "Humans," she whispered, "always so reckless." He laughed softly. "Yeah, but sometimes reckless saves the galaxy." As the emergency sirens faded into the quiet hum of rebuilding, Ryan looked toward the sky. The hunters were retreating for now, but he knew this was only the beginning. The war Lyra had run from was finally coming to Varnis, and Ryan, a simple human bus driver, had just stepped into the center of it. The night sky above Varnis blazed with streaks of fire as ships rose into orbit, fleeing the aftermath of the raid. The air smelled of smoke and fear. But deep within Dock 7, a hidden hangar hummed quietly, its heavy blast doors sealed shut. Inside, Lyra sat beside a half-repaired transport shuttle while Ryan worked under its open engine bay. The two had been silent for hours. Only the clinking of tools and the soft hum of a plasma torch broke the stillness. "You sure this thing can fly?" Lyra asked at last, her voice soft but steady. Ryan grinned from beneath the engine. "Fly, maybe. Land. We'll see when we get there." Lyra tilted her head slightly, her silver skin catching the light. "Humans always joke when death is near. Why?" "Because if we stop joking," Ryan said, standing up, "we start thinking too much." She nodded, almost understanding. Her eyes drifted to the crack in the wall where the faint light of dawn seeped through. "They'll track me again," she whispered. "No matter where I go." Ryan tossed his wrench onto the crate and wiped his hands. "Then let's make it harder for them. We'll leave the planet, hide among the shipping lanes. You said the core inside you draws them, right?" Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, its energy signal is unique. It's like a beacon." Ryan's eyes lit up with an idea. "Then maybe we can make a fake beacon." She blinked. "A decoy?" "Exactly. I used to run cargo routes on Earth's outer colonies. We had to fool pirates all the time. You'd be surprised what you can do with a power coil, an old transmitter, and a bit of luck." For the first time, Lyra smiled faintly. "Luck," she repeated. "Another human tool I don't understand." "Don't worry," Ryan said, moving toward the control panel. "I've got enough luck for both of us." Moments later, the shuttle roared to life. Its engines trembled but held steady. The blast doors opened, revealing the pale sky streaked with orange clouds. Ryan climbed into the pilot seat while Lyra stood beside him, her glowing hands gently resting on the dashboard. "Hold on," he said. The shuttle shot upward, cutting through the smoke and into the stars. For a moment, the world below disappeared, replaced by the endless darkness of space. Lyra watched quietly as Varnis grew smaller and smaller beneath them. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Ryan nodded. "It always is when you're leaving a mess behind." For a few peaceful minutes, the stars stretched endlessly. But the peace didn't last. A warning light blinked on the console. Ryan frowned. "They're fast," he muttered. "Raiders, 6 o'clock. They must have followed your signature." 3 sharp beacons appeared on the radar, closing in fast. Lyra's glow brightened slightly. "They've locked onto me again," she said. "Not for long," Ryan replied, pushing the throttle forward. The shuttle jerked into a steep climb, engines screaming. Beams of light shot past the window as the raiders fired. "Ryan, you can't outfly them," Lyra shouted. "Not planning to," he said with a grin. "Remember the decoy?" He flipped a switch, releasing a small drone from the cargo bay. The device hummed and flashed, mimicking her core energy pattern. The raiders' scanners instantly redirected toward it. "They're taking the bait," Lyra exclaimed. "Good," Ryan said, steering the shuttle toward a dense asteroid belt ahead, "because that drone's about to self-destruct." Behind them, a massive explosion lit up the darkness. The raider ships vanished in the blast wave. The shuttle rocked violently but survived. When the shaking stopped, Ryan exhaled. "That'll slow them down." Lyra looked at him with quiet amazement. "You risked your life for a stranger," she said softly. Ryan smirked. "You stopped being a stranger the moment you saved my bus station." She turned her gaze to the stars again, her voice low. "You sound like someone who's lost before." "I have," Ryan admitted, "but I've never met anyone who made me want to keep fighting again until now." The silence that followed was warm, almost peaceful. For the first time since her exile, Lyra felt something she hadn't felt in years: trust. But the moment was short-lived. A sharp mechanical voice echoed from the comm panel. "Unidentified vessel, this is Central Galactic Command. You are entering restricted space. Power down and identify." Ryan froze. "Great," he muttered. "We traded raiders for the military." Lyra's face tensed. "They work with the Thalran High Council. If they discover me, they'll hand you over," Ryan finished grimly. The comm repeated louder this time. "Power down immediately." Lyra looked at him. "If you stop, they'll take me. If you run, they'll destroy us." Ryan glanced at her, eyes determined. Then we don't stop and we don't run. She frowned. Then what do we do? He smiled slightly. We hide where no sane pilot would go. He pulled the shuttle sharply downward toward the swirling mass ahead, a black storm of light and dust twisting in space. Lyra's eyes widened. Ryan, that's a plasma nebula. The energy will tear us apart. Or it'll mask your core signature, he said. 50-50 chance. She stared at him, half terrified, half impressed. You really do rely on luck, he grinned. Told you. The shuttle plunged into the glowing storm. Blue lightning licked the hull. Alarms screamed, and for a moment it felt like space itself was trying to crush them. Lyra's hands pressed against the control board, her energy flowing into the ship, stabilizing it. The noise faded. The lights dimmed. They had made it. Outside, the nebula glowed like a dream, colors shifting and dancing across the cockpit glass. Lyra leaned back, exhausted but alive. We're safe, she whispered. Ryan nodded, breathing heavily. For now. And as the storm outside shimmered like a living ocean, both of them knew this was no longer just about escape. It was about survival, truth, and something greater waiting beyond the nebula's edge. Inside the plasma nebula, time felt strange. The storm outside glowed like liquid fire, twisting in slow, graceful waves. Electric light crawled across the shuttle's hull, but inside everything was silent. The hum of the engines faded to a whisper, and only the soft pulse of Lyra's core energy filled the air. Ryan leaned back in the pilot's chair, his breath still shaky from their escape. Well, he said quietly, that was either the smartest or dumbest thing I've ever done. Lyra sat across from him, her silver skin glowing faintly in the dim light. It worked, she said softly. They can't find us in here. For now, Ryan replied. He looked at her, really looked at her this time. There was something almost human in the way her shoulders slumped and the quiet exhaustion on her face. You've been running your whole life, haven't you? Lyra's glowing eyes flickered. Since the day I was born. She stood and walked toward the small window, staring out at the swirling colors. The Thalran believed only those of great size could carry the core, the power that sustains our armies. I was born different, small, weak. My parents hid me until the elders found out. They took me to the labs of Raxus Prime. Her voice trembled slightly. They called me Subject 9. I was meant to be erased, but something went wrong. The energy bonded to me instead. Ryan listened quietly, his chest tightening. They experimented on you? Lyra nodded. I was a mistake that worked too well. When they saw that the core had chosen me, the council panicked. They feared what I could become, so they destroyed the others and exiled me. Ryan clenched his fists. That's insane. You didn't ask for this. Lyra turned toward him, her voice calm but cold. Power never asks permission. The shuttle rocked slightly as the storm outside thickened. Sparks of blue lightning danced across the glass, illuminating her face. For years I hid, she continued. Every time I used the core, it sent a signal. Every time I helped someone, they came closer. So I stopped helping. I stopped caring, Ryan's eyes softened. Until the station, she hesitated. Yes, until you. A quiet moment passed between them. The storm light flickered like candlelight across their faces. Ryan finally broke the silence. You said the core is alive. What does that mean? Lyra stepped closer, placing her hand on her chest. It's not just energy, it's consciousness. It feels my thoughts, my fears, my choices. When I use it in anger, it burns. When I use it to protect, it listens. But it's hungry. It wants more, Ryan frowned. Hungry for what? She looked at him with a haunted expression. Connection. It was made to bind armies together through energy links. When I was the only one left, the core turned inward. Now it feeds on me. He felt a chill run through him. So every time you save someone, I lose a little more of myself, she finished quietly. The words hung heavy in the air. Ryan took a slow breath. Then we'll find a way to free you from it. There has to be a way. Lyra shook her head. No one can separate it. It's part of my life force now. If it's destroyed, I die. Ryan leaned forward, determination flashing in his eyes. Then we don't destroy it. We control it, she blinked. You think you can control the core? The Thalran scientists tried for centuries. He smiled faintly. Yeah, but they didn't have human stubbornness. For the first time in what felt like forever, Lyra laughed. A small, soft laugh that made her seem almost human. "You're strange, Ryan Carter," she said. "You look at chaos and see a puzzle." He grinned. "And you look at destruction and save lives." "I'd say we're even." Before either of them could say more, the shuttle's sensors beeped sharply. A proximity alert. Ryan turned to the console. "That's not possible. Nothing should be able to track us in this nebula." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Unless—" A dark shape appeared in the glowing mist ahead, massive, sleek, and silent. It wasn't a raider ship. Its markings were different, clean, official. Lyra's face went pale. "Thalran command vessel," Ryan swore under his breath. "They found us again?" "No," she whispered. "They followed my energy trail from the fight. They must have sent a tracking drone before we entered the storm." The vessel's lights flashed once, scanning the shuttle. A robotic voice filled the air. "Subject 9 detected. Prepare for retrieval." Ryan slammed his hand on the controls. "Not today." The shuttle shot deeper into the nebula. Electric waves rippled around them as lightning crashed against the hull. Lyra gripped the console, her energy pouring into the systems to stabilize them. The Thalran ship fired plasma bolts cutting through the storm like knives of light. Ryan dodged and weaved, sweat running down his temple. "We can't outrun that thing forever." Lyra's hands glowed brighter, her voice steady but urgent. "Then we don't run. We fight." Ryan turned to her, surprised.
"Fight against that monster?"
Her glowing eyes met his. "You said control it. Let's try." She closed her eyes and the light around her intensified. The shuttle's panels flickered as her core energy spread through the ship, merging with its systems. For a heartbeat, Ryan felt something impossible. The ship was alive, responding to her like a living creature. She opened her eyes, glowing brighter than ever. "Hold on," she said. The shuttle suddenly spun, unleashing a pulse of pure light. It tore through the nebula, striking the Thalran vessel head-on. The explosion was silent but blinding, scattering fragments of metal into the glowing mist. When the light faded, the storm around them went calm again. The enemy ship was gone. Ryan stared at her in awe. "You did it?" Lyra collapsed into the co-pilot seat, breathing heavily. "No," she whispered. "We did." Ryan knelt beside her. "You okay?" She smiled weakly. "For now." Outside, the nebula swirled like an ocean of light around them. But deep within that silence, something shifted. A faint hum, almost like a heartbeat, echoing through the ship's walls. Ryan frowned. "What was that?" Lyra opened her eyes slowly. "The core," she whispered. "It's changing." And for the first time, she looked truly afraid. The nebula had grown eerily silent. Outside, the once beautiful colors now pulsed in slow, haunting waves, as if the storm itself were breathing. Inside the shuttle, the lights flickered and a faint vibration echoed through the floor. It wasn't the engines, Ryan could feel that. It was something deeper, something alive. Lyra sat motionless in the co-pilot seat, her eyes closed, her hands pressed against her chest. A dim blue light shimmered beneath her silver skin, spreading like veins of lightning. Ryan knelt beside her, worry clear in his voice. "Lyra, talk to me. What's happening?" Her voice was faint, almost distant. "It's the core." "It's awake," Ryan frowned. "Awake? You mean it wasn't before?" She shook her head slowly. "No. Until now it only reacted to my emotions. But when I linked with the ship, it connected. It's thinking, listening, growing." The glow from her chest pulsed faster. The walls of the shuttle vibrated in rhythm and faint whispers filled the air, like echoes of forgotten voices. Ryan stood, glancing around. "Please tell me I'm not the only one hearing that." Lyra opened her eyes. They glowed brighter than ever, twin suns of electric blue. "You hear the core's memory," she said softly. "It's remembering who it was meant to be." Ryan took a slow breath. "And who's that?" She looked at him with sadness. "A weapon. A living intelligence built to command the Thalran armies, capable of controlling minds, bending energy, and reshaping matter." But something in me stopped it. "My humanity," Ryan blinked. "You mean the part of you that cares?" She nodded weakly. "Yes, but now that it's fully awake, it's struggling between what it was made to do and what I want it to do." Suddenly a piercing hum filled the air. The ship shuddered, and the nebula outside began to twist violently. Waves of light rippled toward them like a tidal surge. Ryan gripped the console. "What now?" Lyra's voice was steady but cold. "It's calling the Thalran fleet. The core wants to go home." "What?" Ryan shouted. "Then stop it." I can't, she said. It's stronger than me now. Ryan slammed his hand against the panel. Then I'll shut down the engines. Lyra's hand shot out, gripping his wrist with surprising strength. No, Ryan. If you cut the power now, the core will consume the ship to stay alive. It'll kill us both. He froze, staring at her. Then what do we do? Lyra stood slowly, her movements graceful but trembling. There's only one way. I have to talk to it. Ryan's eyes widened. Talk to it, like, with words? She smiled faintly. Not with words. With will. Before he could stop her, she stepped into the center of the cabin where the floor's metal plates began to glow under her feet. The core's light flared, rising around her like a storm made of living fire. Ryan shielded his eyes. Lyra, her voice echoed, layered and distant. Stay back, Ryan. Whatever happens, don't touch me. The light thickened until she was barely visible. Within the glowing sphere, she stood surrounded by phantom images, memories of other Thalren, their faces cold, their voices demanding. The core spoke through them. Return, merge, command. Lyra's voice trembled. No, I'm not your weapon anymore. The phantom figures stepped closer, their forms flickering. You were born for war. I was born, she whispered, to prove you wrong. The core pulsed violently. The ship groaned as metal strained against invisible force. Ryan fell to his knees, shouting, Lyra, fight it! Her eyes flashed open, glowing so bright they filled the cabin with pure light. I am. And then silence. A single heartbeat echoed through the shuttle. Then another. The light dimmed slowly until only a faint glow remained. Ryan blinked through the haze. Lyra stood at the center, breathing hard, her silver skin dim but alive. The humming had stopped. The whispers were gone. He ran to her side, catching her as she stumbled. Lyra, did you do it? She nodded weakly, leaning against him. The core is quiet now, it listened. Ryan smiled in relief. So it's over? Her eyes fluttered open. Not over, different, I didn't destroy it. I merged with it, he froze. Merged? She nodded. It needed a guide. A heart, I gave it mine. Now it feels what I feel, sees what I see. It will never obey the Thalren again. Ryan's throat tightened. But what about you? Her voice softened. I'll live, but not forever. The core's power will fade with me. Ryan looked at her, his voice breaking. You just gave up everything. She smiled faintly. Not everything. I still have this moment. Outside, the nebula began to shift again, but this time it was calm. The storm dissolved into soft waves of color, glowing like dawn on an endless sea. Lyra walked to the window, her reflection framed by light. You humans taught me something the Thalren never understood, she said softly. That strength isn't in how much power you hold. It's in how gently you use it. Ryan stood beside her. So what now? She turned to him, her blue eyes softer now, human almost. Now we make sure no one ever uses the core again. The shuttle drifted out of the nebula into open stars. Below them, the galaxy stretched in endless beauty, quiet, vast, and waiting. Ryan looked at her, a small smile forming. Where to, Captain? Lyra laughed softly. Anywhere no one knows my name. He grinned. Then that's where we'll go. As the stars reflected on the glass, she closed her eyes, whispering something only he could hear. Thank you. For seeing me. And with that, the shuttle vanished into the light, carrying a human who believed and an alien who finally understood what it meant to be free.